So when I talk to people transitioning into data, or even data analysts working on the job, one of the most common sources of insecurity I see is not knowing how to go from a messy data set to real stakeholder insights. At this point, you already have technical skills, but you're asking yourself questions like, how do I know what's actually good enough to share with a stakeholder? How do I go beyond the numbers to the so what? And how do I also tell a story with data and make sure I'm not just reporting the numbers? In this video, we are going to talk through the high-level framework that experienced analysts use to go from messy, ambiguous questions like, why did this metric move up or down? Or should we keep this marketing campaign? To clear, actionable insights that impress hiring managers and stakeholders alike. If you're new here, I'm Christine. I'm a former data director and a hiring manager. I've worked at companies like Deloitte, JustWorks, and Vimeo, and now I mentor working professionals and analysts stand out in the job market and on the actual job. On this channel, I share the business thinking, analytical frameworks, and mindset tips to help you stand out. Let's dive in. So at work and in interviews, you're gonna get questions like, why did this metric move up or down? How are sales performing? What should we do next? And should we keep this new product line, free trial, or marketing campaign? Now, the actual business metrics or initiatives that you're asked about are gonna change depending on the business or team that you're working with. But the way that you approach this question is going to be the same across different industries. It's basically a way of thinking of this kind of question. And then the metrics and the initiatives, those themselves are just specific details. So having a structured framework shows competence and experience, and it helps you tie your analysis back to what the company actually cares about. So let's use one running examples for the rest of this video. And let's say we are an analyst who's working at a mid-size e-commerce company. And the marketing manager comes to us and asks, hey, how is the new loyalty program performing? Do you think we should keep using it? So the high-level process we're gonna take for any analytical question looks like this. First, we're gonna identify the North Star metrics and dimensions. Then we're gonna break this big ambiguous question down into smaller questions. And we're going to use the technical tools to uncover the why behind those smaller questions. And then we're going to work to surface those insights and recommendations to our final audience. Now let's dive into each one of these one by one. Let's take a really simple approach to this. Remember that any data set, whether it's for a take-home test or a stakeholder question on the job, basically involves two different building blocks. The metrics, those are the numbers that actually measure their performance. So these are the things that you're trying to explain why they're going up or down. And then the dimensions, these are qualitative categories that you're going to use to slice these metrics by. And this is what helps you diagnose where a change is coming from and helps you explain a bit of the why behind the data. So when a question is really open-ended, like explore the trends or look at the performance of this one metric, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to look at all the metrics by all dimensions all at once. And this is basically a recipe for ending up with an Excel spreadsheet that has a bajillion pivot tables or a SQL query that doesn't actually answer anything. Instead, before you actually touch the data, you're going to first identify 3 North Star metrics and 3 North Star dimensions. Now, it doesn't have to be 3 exactly, but this is just a good benchmark to start with. These should be the metrics that actually measure what the question is asking and any related metrics that would help explain a fluctuation in that main metric. And then the dimensions are the segments that help you isolate where that change is coming from. So obviously first I'd look at something like total revenue in dollars. And then I'd also want to look at average order value. So how expensive is each purchase between the two different segments, and also repeat purchase rate. So how often are people actually coming back between the two different segments? Now the main dimension I want to slice by is whether or not someone's actually in the loyalty program or not. And then I'd also look at other dimensions like where are they based, so their region or their country, when did they actually make that purchase, and also what product or category they purchased. Now these are super simple dimensions to start with. On the job, I'd be working with a stakeholder during requirements gathering to make sure we're isolating the right dimensions. Now notice what just happened. We went from some potentially very large data set to just 3 metrics and 3 dimensions that we want to prioritize. So we've effectively narrowed down our data set. Now the ability to isolate these metrics comes down to your domain knowledge, which is why understanding the metrics of the company and the industry is one of the key elements to standing out in the job market today. So once you know your target industry, make sure you're getting familiar with the key metrics and dimensions that you'll be working with. Okay, so now comes the part where we actually start exploring the data. And this part can feel super daunting if you do not have a structured approach. So our job here is to take a really big question and translate it to a set of smaller questions that can directly be answered in a technical tool like Excel, SQL, Power BI, or another visualization software. Now, something I realized over my 10 years of working in data is that about 80% of stakeholder questions having to do with why a metric changed can be simplified into a few key buckets. And once you can identify which bucket this question belongs to, you can have a ready-made checklist of smaller questions that you're going to start to answer. And that way your analysis becomes a lot more straightforward. So let's talk about what those buckets are. The first bucket is looking at overall trends. So these are things like, what are overall trends in sales? Now my North Star metrics here, obviously I would have sales, but the other metrics that explain fluctuations in sales are average order value, so how expensive the purchases are, and also how many purchases there were, so the order count. Here, my smaller questions would be things like seasonality. What are sales by time? Is there a pattern? Looking at dimensional segmentation. So what are sales, or any other North Star metric, by these different dimensions, by country, product, and brand? And then also looking at summary statistics. So starting to understand the distribution of sales. What is the average, the minimum, the maximum of sales and order count across time? And also looking at things like what countries or products make up the top X% of sales. Now, all of these questions can directly be answered using a pivot table, calculated functions, minimums and maximums in Excel and SQL, and line charts. The second bucket is growth rates. So for example, someone asking, what are the monthly growth rates in sales? Again, our North Star metrics, of course, would be actual sales, but then looking at those two other metrics that directly impact sales, so average order value and order count. Again, I'd be looking at things like seasonality and dimensional segmentation. So are there certain months where the growth rates are consistently high or low? And also, what were the growth rates themselves across these different dimensions? And also looking at the summary stats, so average, minimum, maximum growth rates in sales. Here you can actually think of growth rates as another kind of metric. So you can see that we have the same smaller questions as before: seasonality, segmentation, summary stats, and distributions. And again, these can be solved using pivot tables, line charts, calculated functions, or even things like area charts. The next category is performance measurement. So for example, how is the new loyalty program performing, and should we keep using it? And here the North Star metrics would be revenue or sales, average order value, and repeat purchase rate. In this case, I'd want to use two more categories. One, comparing the metrics themselves. So what are sales for loyalty versus non-loyalty? And again, I can substitute in the North Star metrics here. And also comparing the trends. So how do the trends in these North Star metrics compare for each group over time? And another angle that I can look at is distribution. So what segment makes up the top X% of sales? And also how has that changed over time? Again, using pivot tables, line charts, and area charts, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, you can easily start to answer these questions. Another category is KPI reporting. So for example, what were our refund rates for Apple products? Now, this is similar to the other questions that we had before, but the only thing is, instead of the stakeholder actually asking you what were the trends, they're asking you what this number was. However, most of the time when they're asking what the number actually was, they will usually also want to understand the why, which is again why we have North Star metrics like refund rate and refund count, to understand how the refund rate has changed and how the number of refunds have changed over time. So again, we'd look at things like dimensional segmentation, summary stats, and trends. So are there products or regions where these metrics are worse than average, and is this an ongoing trend? Now, our loyalty program question is a performance measurement question, right? How is the loyalty program performing? Should we keep using it? So the smaller questions that we start to ask are, first, comparing the metrics, right? What are the sales for loyalty versus non-loyalty? What are AOV for these two different segments? And what is the repeat purchase rate for every single group? And then also comparing the trends. So is the gap between these two groups widening or shrinking over time? It's that next step when we actually start creating pivot tables and visualizations where we really start to get to the meat of the question. This is where it's super easy to get overwhelmed if you do not have a simple framework for how to think about these questions. So remember this tip. Each of these smaller questions are basically a metric sliced by a dimension, either looking at it as a one-time snapshot or as a trend over time, right? So the metric is what we're measuring, in our case, AOV, repeat purchase rate, and the dimension is how we actually slice it. And then we decide, do we want to look at this over a course of a certain time period or just at one point? So now I'm going to start answering these smaller questions using a technical tool. And I'm not going to focus too much on the technical details here because I think there are just so many tutorials out there already, but I want to show you a preview of what it could look like to answer these smaller questions using a visualization. So in this case, I'm looking at how sales contribution and the number of people in the loyalty program or not has changed over time. And I'm seeing that loyalty adoption reached a majority 55% share by 2022. And I'm seeing not only did the number of people who are adopting the loyalty program increase, but as that happened, of course, revenue share also increased to make up almost about half of revenue just 2 years after the loyalty program was introduced. Now, whether or not this is a good thing and it meets expectations is something we would then discuss with the marketing director. Now, the other metrics we wanted to compare were average order value and number of orders. So here, if I'm looking at a line chart of loyalty member versus non-loyalty members for these two metrics, I'm seeing that while AOV actually was higher for non-loyalty members during a certain period of time, it started to level out, and loyalty member AOV has been pretty stable. And in the last years that we had data, the loyalty members actually typically purchased more expensive products than non-loyalty members. Now, in terms of the number of orders, I'm seeing that at first, it took a while for the loyalty members, those number of orders to catch up to those who were not in the loyalty program. And in recent years, they were pretty close. Now, realistically, on the job, I'd probably be drawing these kinds of conclusions on more recent data. But the point here is to show the overall trends over time. So if you feel like you're rabbit holing in your analysis, it probably means that the questions you're trying to answer are still too big. From these graphs alone, we're already starting to see how we're forming a story of how the loyalty program is performing. Now, this step is arguably what makes or breaks your analysis, because remember, your analysis is only ever as useful as your communication. One of the most common mistakes I see in portfolio projects and by analysts on the actual job is not going beyond the numbers to actually explain the why. So for example, a weak insight sounds like this: loyalty members have higher AOV than non-members. The program seems to be working. Now, the marketing director is going to ask you, higher by how much and for how long, and how confident are we that the program is working and going to continue to work? A stronger insight sounds like this: loyalty members had a 34% higher AOV and a repeat purchase rate nearly 3 times members last year, meaning the program does actually bring value. But that gap has actually gotten a lot smaller recently, and it's actually entirely driven by a slowdown in the US. So it's probably worth a quick sync with the sales team there just to check whether there's been any changes to the process there or if they have some more context. Now, this is what we mean by an actionable insight. So how do we actually get from the visualizations and the smaller questions to that kind of insight? There's a few ways that you can explain the why. First is just to summarize the North Star metrics and their trends. So show the overall patterns, describe the averages, minimums, maximums, and the overall fluctuations that you observe. And then also point out any anomalies or outliers. So if there's any big spikes or dips, these are obviously areas that you should also call out, because they're places where the business should probably explore further. And this is where you'd also want to mention who the relevant stakeholder would be in this investigation. And then in looking into the root cause, for overall trends and outliers, if you're seeing that there's some big spike or some anomaly, this is where you'd likely want to slice by another key dimension to start to uncover the driver there. Was it all in one segment or one dimension, or is it dispersed? Because those two draw very different conclusions. Remember that at the end of the day, you need to be able to relate this back to your stakeholder. So in your written summaries, your interviews, and your conversations at work, you have to think about the level of technical detail that you actually want to share and calibrate to that audience. Make sure you're answering this question of how does it relate to their goals and key metrics. I actually have a video that deep dives on how we go from insights to initial recommendations, so I'll mention that at the end of this video. Now, one pro tip is to keep a running log. One of the hardest things to do when you are starting to summarize your insight is look at your work and say, okay, what the heck did I actually find? And gather all of your findings. So instead, as you work, I want you to document the big questions and the smaller question that you derived, and also your findings for each. So this log starts to build your summary as you're going through your analysis. So for example, I had my big question here, my smaller questions, the findings, and then what I discovered when I went one layer deeper to understand the why. So the next time you get a messy data set, whether it's for a take-home interview or on the actual job, then remember this high-level framework. First, we need to define our North Star metrics and dimensions. Then we're going to break the big question down into smaller questions, and then we are going to dive into the why and investigate in a technical tool. And then lastly, we start to document our insights as we're exploring so that we can surface those insights to our stakeholders. If you want direct mentorship in your journey to becoming a standout analyst who can really dive into the business why so that you can feel confident at work, land that new data job, or get promoted, then check out my mentorship program below. And if you're interested in going the next step in taking your insights and transforming them into on-the-job recommendations, then check out my portfolio playbook video here.